band.
Anytime you got a sax and a trumpet and stuff, you got good music.
That guy playing the trumpet looked like you. He had that hat on,
Oh, well.
and when he was,
I can't
everybody
play
was
trumpet.
commenting about that.
Like a turkey make it to your event.
Huh?
They had family wedding. Maybe not good
It was,
either.
it was a good band, man. If you like Joe Cocker in Chicago and,
I'm sure it was a great event.
yeah.
Everybody I heard that went there had a good time.
It was good.
We didn't want any gifts, but people did bring stuff. But we just wanted the friends and just everybody hang out. Not just it was like almost like a Sunday afternoon, only a little bigger.
Like a little
We had
bit.
200 people
That's good.
at St. Augustine's Hall.
Toby did a really good job decorating.
I'll tell you what, were you there when Toby made the announcement when people were leaving?
Oh,
That-
yes.
She goes, we're going to get ready to cut the cake, and I know some of you all are leaving, and I know you don't want to be late for church tomorrow, but Vicki goes, man, that's my call.
Well, then she said, she started off something, and Dan was standing over there, her husband. She
Yeah.
goes, and if you can imagine being married to this, and Dan went, and I went, being married to this, who's she talking about?
Mhm.
Mike or Kathy?
Mhm.
And then she stopped and
Oh,
restarted.
All the insurance and everything is pretty much in our guidelines. Workers' compensation insurance are equivalent.
Sounds like a big policy, $5 million per occurrence.
I have no idea.
What is it?
It's for Scott.
We're not going to
No, it doesn't matter.
What's this for?
It's, what band you say this was?
Oh,
Love and Theft.
I got you.
My daughter's trying on my wedding dress.
A name like that, you better double check all the figures.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, there he is.
All right, 6:30, let's go ahead and call this meeting to order. The Parks Authority meeting of our Monday, June 22nd, call to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Present.
Member Summers.
Present.
President Kasani.
Here.
Member Julian.
Here.
Member Owen.
Here.
Member Webb. Member Samuel. Member Gill. Member Wadsworth. Let the record show that 5 members are present or are absent.
With only 5 members present, in order to pass anything, we're going to need a unanimous decision unless somebody else shows up, just for the members' knowledge. Approval of the minutes. Well, first of all, approval of agenda.
No change in the agenda. On the director's report, if you'd mark me down as 3 and put Matt Dole as number 2 for update at the World Athletic Complex.
Where's that at now, Paul?
I'm sorry, the director's report,
Okay.
number 2, Matt Dole. And Paul Orban, number 4.
And then you'll be 3.
We'll just hold it till.
Okay.
Can we pull what you need to abstain from and pass the rest
It's
of it?
fine with me. It's fine with me.
All right, so with the change, I need a motion and second for the agenda.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
A motion and a second to approve the agenda with the change. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Approval of minutes for May 18th.
I'll make a motion to approve if there's no changes.
Okay, do we want to just wait till next time then? Or
You can pull these if you want to approve
we're
everybody.
here for the minutes, so.
We're on the minutes.
Oh, the minutes, I'm sorry. I'll second.
All right, motion and second to approve the minutes. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Approval of claims. I understand there's one or two items that need to be pulled in order for us to get the votes necessary to pass the claims.
I see two.
So, where are they at?
You got one on page 2. I think it was page 2.
Oh, right here, yeah. It's at the top for 700.
Yeah, and then you've got one on,
I saw it too.
Where?
Oh, there it is. Your 700.
You're basically going to pull anything with Walnut Ridge.
yeah, yeah, and then on page 4, the very last item.
Oh,
2200. So,
Get your calculator out.
96, 713.57 minus 700 minus 2200.
Paul, who paid for the material down at Preservation Park at that deck? I haven't, okay, is that in this claims?
I think it was in the previous one, it was KI lumber.
I missed that. I wouldn't have supported that if I'd have known that. That deck doesn't, I talked to Jeff Clark Preservation, that doesn't belong to the parks.
Okay.
That belongs to them.
So our new total with those two claims
Well, I
pulled
wrote it down.
is 93,813.57.
Is that okay doing that, Scott? Pulling those out?
With the change, I'll make a motion to approve.
second.
A motion second to approve the claims with those two items removed. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? All right, unanimous.
You'll let them know while we pulled it, right?
I will let them know.
Old business none, new business aquatic center sign.
Lisa put this on the agenda last week. I didn't have a chance to talk to her why she wanted to put it on here, but I know we talked about for years getting a new sign out front. Just has not been at the top of the priority list right now.
I think she was talking about a new sign, but we were also talking about the appearance of it, just so you can read the lettering and maybe some landscaping around it.
At our Parks Authority Advisory Board, we discussed that and we approved the recommendation of replacing that sign.
Okay, I wasn't at that meeting, but thank you for,
And that was Sandy Knott.
yes. And we
Correct.
talked to Richard Eklund also about replanting some of the plants in front of that sign. Some of those plants that grow tall and block the view, maybe moving them somewhere else. So Richard and I are working on that.
I think at least on a short-term basis, that's what we should do, is cut those plants or move those plants so we can see the sign.
Okay.
Richard's probably got a shovel, I'll bet
You
you.
can do it tonight.
Ground's good and soft.
That's
And,
right.
Okay.
Lisa had mentioned to me that the one of the main problems with that sign was some of the lettering had been damaged.
Well, the sign can't be repaired, isn't that right, Paul?
It's,
Cannot, wasn't the lighting bad on that sign?
Well, the lighting was bad, and the electric we found out was good, but the lighting was bad.
Yeah.
So we were talking about replacing it, and years ago, a couple years ago, we talked about an LED sign. We went through all that, and now we're at a point where I think we can do something. So I'm gonna get some quotes on a new sign, and, but the lettering, yeah, they ran out of some of the letters, so, those old-time letters, if you run out of an R and S, you have to, turn it in sideways.
You can't, they're not available on the market somewhere to buy new
We've
letters?
ordered some,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
All right, next up, River Stage contracts.
I have a contract for August 1st. It's for the band Love and Theft. This is on the Jeffersonville Ghost Country Night. They're a national headlining act. We got the radio station 103.1 to work a very good deal on this band. So I'm just needing the contract approved. We are 30 days out from the event, so I am needing to send a deposit.
How much are they? How good was the deal?
We're getting them for $5,000, and they're a $30,000 band. Now they are playing as a smaller group. It's more of an amped up acoustic act, but still a really good deal on the band.
50%.
Real quick, Sarah did email this to me at the end of last week. Basically, the form of the contract with the rider it's the same agency, that creative artist agency, so it's the same type of contract that we reviewed and that marked up for, I think it was Patty and May.
Maddie and Tay, yeah.
So, and I think since, I think the first payment would be due July 1st, so we wouldn't have time, because this was in a PDF format, I couldn't edit it, but last time they allowed me to kind of
Yeah.
mark it out, just some minor stuff, like when they say the laws, if there's a dispute, the laws of California apply, I always say it has to be laws of Indiana. There's a lot of language in there, just like last time about ticket sales, and they have the right to look at our ticket booth and go through our books for ticket sales since it's a public event. You know, last time we just marked that out, I did put unapplicable, emailed it to Sarah emailed it to them, and they said that was okay, because they understand it's a public show. So basically, if you approve it, I would like to do what we did last time, to approve it subject to the markouts or changes that I did last time. And that would be probably doable.
Yeah, that'd be perfect. If you could sign it tonight and then you can make changes to the signed copy, would that be okay? That way then we could just scan that.
Yeah, with the signature page.
Yes.
That's fine. I mean, because basically it's the same contract as last time. I can do
Yeah.
the exact same markups as we did last time.
Well-
They just use a standard form, it looks like. Wherever they play in America, they just have the standard form that they send out, so.
What do we need to suspend the rules on all three readings, or is that?
No,
just-
this is just a
No, it's a
contract, it's not an
Okay, but I mean, you need to, okay.
Make a motion to approve with the changes suggested by Scott.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve after with Scott's markouts. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous?
Thank you.
Hey, Sarah, you weren't at the council meeting the other night, but one of the things that we said on Smoking on the River was how good a job you guys did. And
Yep.
it was awesome. And you guys need a pat on the back. Even the street department and everybody pulled together, and it was done very well.
What was the feedback, real quick, what you heard about it, or, I mean, what did you hear? I mean,
Well,
from the
the microphone.
vendors, or any of them, you know, the vendors or the participants, or just, you know, what's the feedback, what needs to be changed, or good or bad, or just anything in particular?
The participants absolutely love it. This is one of their favorite events they come to. We had, I believe, 12 different states represented, and we cut it off at 60 teams just because we don't have the space for more teams. So it has grown to the largest barbecue festival in the state of Indiana as far as competition teams. The vendors, we were down a little bit this year from last year. I know this year it was like the first hot weekend of the year, so I think that might have kept a few people away. And we're thinking about maybe switching up the music a little bit next year. We've done blues for the past 7 years, and I think that we could get a bigger draw if we kind of mix it up, similar to what we do on our regular Friday nights. But overall, it was a great event, and we ended up with some decent, no rain, so that was great. Yeah.
Is there any way, we don't keep track of attendance in any way, right? There's no way to keep track of that?
It's hard, especially an event like that where, you know, our event area is much larger. I would say we probably had a total of 10,000 people over the 2-day period, you know, during the whole day.
Similar to last year, bigger or smaller?
It was smaller than last year. I know last year, though, the weather was like low 80s, high 70s, so it was perfect. And then this was, you know, the first hot weekend we've had, so it was down, but I mean, it was still a great crowd, just a little down from last year.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
Thanks, Sarah.
Director's report, Sandy Knott. Advisory report.
Thank you. We met on June the 4th. Lisa Gill was present again, and we appreciate that. One of the things we discussed pretty thoroughly was the green team, and I haven't talked to Paul since the meeting, so I don't know where we're standing with that, but it appears that they've been overwhelmed with all the projects that they've had to do, and they were also being pulled away from their landscaping to go out on some other calls as well. And we've had that same problem with the parks maintenance crew. They're there to take care of the parks, but yet redevelopment calls them out and different events. And I think we just need to hire more people, and that was kind of the general consensus in the meeting. So other than that, we've had a couple of teenagers that are doing some sort of extreme sport activity over at Bob Hedge Park, and they're loosening the fence post. We talked about this, and I think you had a name for the sport, but it's hardcore, I guess. Parkour. It's just they grab onto the post and then they lift themselves straight out. And what it does is loosening those posts. That's a $30,000 fence. And once a few posts are loosened, then we'll get Sellersburg Fence Company to come in and rebuild them. And yeah,
We've done some repair work and we've gotten quotes on redoing all of it, and it's just not the budget. We're hoping.
Is that an aluminum fence? Is that why?
no, that's a steel fence. And
Oh, is there something we can do to that to keep them from doing this?
220.
The,
We'll
I'll vote for that.
hardcore them or parkour them or whatever you call it.
and I wasn't around when they were built, but the posts weren't sunk into concrete.
Right.
They were just bolted, surface mounted to the concrete. And so any kind of hard pulling on them is going to loosen them up. What it does is pulls the bolts out, and we go back in, and it strips the threading on it, so we go back in and re-bolt it with bigger bolts or caulk it or whatever. But to repair it and do it right, we'll have to take them all out and sink some posts a couple feet into the concrete. And it's a big cost. So we talked about maybe doing a section, 50-foot section, a year or something like that. So we're still looking at the options.
that's one of the projects at that park that the labor was donated. And so similar to the concrete work over there, it wasn't real good quality. Even though the fencing is very heavy and it still wasn't installed properly. I had mentioned we had motion to replace the aquatic sign, and the youth football program, the sign-ups are planned for June 23rd through the 25th. I guess that's still on. That's tomorrow.
Yeah.
Wow. And there will be a 3-day camp at Shirley Hall Park beginning July the 7th, and forms will be posted on the Jeff Parks website. Our next meeting will be July 2nd at 2 p.m. Please come.
Thank you. Any questions or anything? All right, Matt Gullo, update on the Worley building and
Evening, everybody. Just a quick update on the Worley facility, Phase 2. We are full into design and CDs at the moment. We've had several meetings on the building design and site design, 2 separate meetings with the Parks Authority staff, and then Parks Authority itself with people who are using the park. So we're taking those considerations in and doing design development with that, along with going forward with CDs. We have put out a package, and I gave it to Paul for the netting solution for the back against the neighbors, so that is out. And I have been getting calls from AML, who did the original construction out at Worley, on those netting solutions packages. So those are out, and Paul can go over that in more detail. Other than that, we're just moving forward. Any questions?
do you expect to present at the next Parks Authority meeting and get approval to do the bid work, or what's the next step?
We are planning on getting as far along as possible so that we can ask to go out for bid at the next meeting. And that is the plan. That's why we're kind of moving in tandem with CDs and design development at the same time, so we can push forward and get this going as quick as possible, and but make sure that everyone's in agreement on what is happening out there as well.
So next meeting, you have like a rendering and some design of how the layout's going to be and that kind of stuff?
Yep, we'll have basically we'll show the design development documents. we might not be 100% complete on the CD portion, but by the following meeting in August, we would be, and it would be out for bid by that time. We might not have actual quotes back for that August meeting, but it will be out for bid. So, all right.
Any questions? Thank you, Matt.
Yep.
Paul Northern, Director's Report.
Thank you. Just a couple items tonight. I want to add to what Matt said about the Worley Athletic Complex netting. The bid package was put together by Covert Hawkins, and I sent that out to 4 different companies 2 weeks ago. Talked to a couple of them about the bidding, and hopefully by the end of this week, we'll have our prices back. Once we've had a chance to review those, and we'll make a decision and move forward on the ordering of those nets. The stolen utility vehicle that was stolen from the Parks Department was recovered a couple weeks ago. It was missing $2,500 worth of tools, and
Where was it
unfortunately...
stole from, Paul?
Who was it stole from?
No, where?
Oh, it was at the Nahan Field House. One of my employees went in to get some tools from the field house, and when he came out, the truck was missing. It was late in the afternoon, about 3 o'clock. He was cleaning up his work area, left the keys in the car. And so it was stolen, found over in Louisville. We went over and picked it up a couple weeks ago, inventoried it, and missing about $2,500 worth of tools. So it's a utility truck. It has the tool. Yeah, it is a Ford. Yeah, it's got the ladder rack, the racks on top. Anyway, we do have the truck back, so that's good.
No damage to the truck?
No damage.
That's good,
yeah, that's
because they
good.
could have.
It was on empty though. Imagine that.
They couldn't fill it up for us?
But they did have tools stolen,
Yes.
so I mean, what are we with insurance, or we?
Well, we did talk to Amir about that, and $2,500 is our deductible. So it was about $2,400, and we didn't, it worked out $2,400 before we even knew what the deductible was. So.
Okay, question.
Uh-huh.
So I'm assuming the employee was reprimanded for leaving his keys in the truck,
He was.
and that you have spoken to your other employees about not leaving their
I
keys
have.
in the truck.
Definitely.
I knew you had, but I just wanted to.
Sure.
The memo went citywide.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a citywide memo on it, but yeah, I did individually talk with my group of guys and employees, all my employees. We have a van that sits at Nahan Fieldhouse that, I have people at Nahan Fieldhouse that drive a van too, so.
I mean, we like to think people are honest, but
Yeah, and a couple of good things is they found video at Security Pro's office, which is 3 blocks down the road. They could see somebody getting in the car there. And then also Corden Porter has some video, but the police are working on that.
good.
A couple other items we're working on. We're trying to get electric run to a couple of our shelters in time for the neighborhood night out. I know we can't do all of them, but this year we're working on Pam Inman Shelter and Connie Selmer Park Shelter to get some electric for them for their neighborhood night out and future meetings. And both of those neighborhoods like to have their neighborhood meetings in that park. So any city electrician is working on that, and we'll contact Duke to get that hooked up in the next few weeks. The Mott's Group, or the Mott's Company, will be at the Worley Athletic Complex tomorrow to do their yearly maintenance of the fields. The Soccer Association, a couple of those people will be up there, and Ricky Romans will be up there to direct them and guide them on some of the trouble spots on the field.
What time will that be, do you know?
They'll be there between 8 and 9, and get started about 9 o'clock.
All day? They'll be there all day, pretty much?
Yes, yeah. They blocked the whole day for it, but they could take them a half day. So we're looking forward to that. We've been working on sponsorships. Obviously, Dave Simpson has been working with the parks on sponsorships, and he's really gotten a couple good leads with Coke and Papa John's. Part of their contracts and possibly future contracts are going to ask for, if not require, some exclusivity. And so we've talked to Coca-Cola about putting Coke in our swimming pool and in our Nahan Fieldhouse and in some of the other Vissing Park, which really...
You mean in the concessions?
Yes. Mm-hmm. We would sell Coke. Well, and I was getting to that, the way we do it now is we have people that just go to GFS and pick it up, and we don't get deliveries from Coca-Cola. So this would be direct deliveries from Coca-Cola at a discounted price. But in order to get their sponsorships, we have to agree to like a 2-year, 5-year exclusivity contract with them. So what I was going to say is, we've been doing that kind of already. We go to GFS and we buy Coke products. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was asking, like, I know on Smoking on the River, wasn't that a Pepsi?
No, Coke.
Was it Coke? I knew one of the two sponsors was exclusive
If
there.
I can chime in, because I was going to do this on my report.
Okay.
I met with Dave, he kind of gave me like kind of what the proposal is from Coke, and that's what I was going to bring up to kind of see this is a policy decision, do we want to go there or not? Because the exclusivity, the way I read it, it's for every location in the city for every event we had, including all vending machines and whatnot. So my concern was, I'm not exactly sure what other, like say the vending machine here in our building, do we have contracts with other vendors?
Right, good point.
Steamboat Day Festival, basically they want it for every city event. They want exclusivity. It's not just Coke. It's
How much are they going to?
It's all their Powerade, tea, sports drinks. I mean, they have multiple products.
I mean, if we're going to give them
Well,
that,
it's 20
they better.
What it is, they want the 2-year contract, $20,000 for the 2 years, that's $40,000, but then you have to commit, you have to buy their products, a minimum of 9,600 cases.
But there's
I'm
a
not sure how much it's-
$10,000 check. Go ahead, Sarah.
So
Well,
you have
we
to buy-
gave them a list of facilities we would sell it in. So like, we didn't include vending machines. We
yeah.
gave them the list of the aquatic center, Visting.
The contract talks about vending machines.
9,000 cases, you get $20,000.
The proposal that I have.
$2
It talks about any other event you do in the city, you can't sell anyone else's products.
Well, just the city events, which mean the River Stage events, and the list of.
Maybe there just needs to be some clarity there.
I'm not arguing, I'm saying, from a legal standpoint, if you're dealing with Coca-Cola, I think.
Yeah, because they will
It
say.
says all city events. It doesn't just say River Stage, it says all city. So I think that includes not just River Stage, I think it would include, if we put on
Ice
city
skating
events.
rink.
I'm not saying this isn't a bad deal, but I'm just saying you need to
No,
decide.
yeah, it is.
Yeah.
You go there to get the 40,000, but then there's commitments, and I
Right.
don't know what. you know,
There,
So do you see, I'm sorry, go ahead.
sounds like that's their standard contract, try to get everything. But you had a meeting of the minds that said this, and that, and you outlined. So maybe you guys need to get together and
There
say
needs to be a different contract.
what the agreement is.
When Dave Simpson dropped off to me, I think that is too narrow, that locks us in some things.
Right.
By all city events, they mean the city events that we put on at the River Stage, which would include, you know.
But that has to be
River.
listed in the contract,
Right.
because if it's not,
Contract, they just said City of Jeffersonville events.
They will
It didn't
come
say
back on
River
us.
Stage, it didn't say Parks Authority, the contract's the name of City of
that's
Jeffersonville.
how it is.
The way it's
Big
written, it's like
corporation, they're
all, I'm
not
just
gonna
saying.
have that.
But that would be all, that would
Yeah.
exclude like Main Street events, right? Those aren't City of Jeffersonville events.
Well, I mean, Steamboat Days, I mean.
That's a City of Jeffersonville event.
We're gonna have to,
Yeah, I'm just
we're gonna have
saying,
to
you know,
outline
That
it.
has to be-
Like, the thing is, if we enter those contracts that have vendors that bring their own vending things,
All right.
then the way this is written, we would have to make sure that those vendors don't sell any non-Coke products, even water. Because Coke has their own bottled water, their own tea, their own sports drink.
Right.
We would just have to purchase those products from us. We are becoming the vendor. All my vendors at the River Stage are purchasing those products from us. We're requiring them to purchase the Coke products.
Even like for Thunder Over Louisville, I mean, the way this is written includes, like I said.
It'll be each of those events.
Not for Thunder, but actually Thunder and Louisville, they have that same deal with Coke. You have to purchase those Coke products at Thunder over Louisville, in the Louisville.
But
I
the-
mean,
Probably
it's
because they're a
not-
sponsor for that event.
Right, but not in Jeffersonville. That's not something, well, we
I'd
decided.
like,
But that's
if we're
not
gonna
what
go
the-
forward with this,
yeah,
I would
I
like
know
to be part of any meetings with them, just because the
Yeah.
way
Yeah.
this contract that Dave Simpson
If
dropped
it's
off
what's
to
in the
me,
four corners
I
of
think
that
it's
contract
too
that you
restrictive
sign,
that-
it
Because
doesn't
it
matter
basically
what
says
you
if you
say
don't sell your
verbally.
minimum, then you're in default of the agreement, and they can stop paying money, you can pay money back, pay your sponsorship back. If you don't-
Okay.
We
Good.
don't even know what we actually spend.
I mean, I know you made that discussion, I'm saying what
Yeah.
what I see in black and
That's
white
the contract.
is a little bit more strict than what you're saying, that locks us in some.
Why don't Dave,
liability.
you and I and Dave and Sarah talk about it, and then we'll go talk to Coke about it.
Yeah,
That's
I'm just saying I was gonna bring this
Right.
up, that, I just wanna make sure no one enters into any agreement, because
Right.
Dave, he almost said that he was gonna tell Coke to go ahead and put banners up at that, Smoking on the River.
We are, we've been promoting Coke, and I mean, this is a huge deal for us.
But they haven't given
For
us
us
any
to
money,
get
is
these
what I'm
corporate
saying.
sponsors, we're gonna have to do some
I know, but what I'm saying is that
We're not-
they have.
We gotta protect ourselves.
That's the argument.
That's not the argument, but we're apparently, Dave told me we're already giving them banners and advertisements, but we don't even have a signed contract. Don't have
Hey,
to-
Sarah, you said 9,000 cases?
According to the contract, 9,600 cases
Is that a year or every 2
per
years?
year annually.
How much is
They
a case?
figured because we already use Coke. We order Coke at the Aquatic Center. We order Coke for Little League. We've been using Coke for several years. So they based that on what we've been doing with them yearly, and then adding what we're putting at the river stage, and then, we're bringing in a little bit the field house, visiting. They added all that in to come up with that figure.
I don't hear anybody on the board saying it's not a good idea. What I hear
No.
everybody saying is we need to narrow down what the events are and make sure the contract is clear so that we're not in default or what do
Because
we
they
say?
will come back and
Because
they
they'll-
will say, you're not home.
Yeah, they're reaching for as much opportunity and have as much control over the beverages in the city. And we just want to make sure we understand what events and what venues really apply. So we need to nail that down. And so we need our attorney to be comfortable with the contract.
No offense, but I just don't want to have any
Sure.
agreement signed, and then it locks us into something where default is Coke's an entity that will not mess around.
And I don't hear anybody,
There's payback provisions if you violate the exclusivity.
Okay.
Payback for them.
Sarah, I don't hear anybody saying that they
appreciate
don't
that.
like this idea. It's just we need to make sure the contract is right.
Right. And what was the other one besides Coke?
Papa John's.
There's
Oh,
no
Papa John's, that's
exclusive-
pizza. So,
There's no exclusivity with Papa John's then.
okay.
Yeah, I'm not seeing anything on that.
Yeah.
Just Coke one. I'm not arguing with you. I'm just,
Yeah.
there's just things that worry me as a lawyer when I read this. That's all I'm
So I know we talked about the exclusivity, whatever that word is, at our Steamboat Days meeting. We were talking about that with him. And how much did you say they were giving? 20?
20 a year.
20 a year?
Then plus, it's an additional, for every case that we purchase, we get $250 back on that, which we figure would average about an additional $10,000.
So a lot of them numbers, there's gonna have to be a lot of numbers ran to see exactly what we're talking about.
Okay.
25,000 for just one event.
No.
I think it's something though that is kind of time sensitive at this point because we are into, halfway through the events at the River Stage now. And we really need to get a contract in place with Coke since we've been in.
I need to be part of that though, if
Yeah.
we're dealing with legal issues.
Yes, that's a huge one.
The only thing it's not a motion, but I think, as Ed said, we agree, but we also want our attorney involved. So however y'all move at speed of light, I mean, that's fine with me, but Scott needs to be there to make sure that we're not gonna be stuck with something we can't deliver.
So let's try to get it narrowed down by next meeting.
Next meeting.
Well,
Oh, you
it
wanna-
probably has to be
Then
done
if
before
Scott
next meeting.
approves, you can just sign. Is that possible?
If the board's comfortable with that.
I don't care, I want Scott to make
Well, we need everybody to be comfortable with that or not.
I'm comfortable with you looking it over. With Scott's approval.
Well, I'm comfortable with Scott doing it and getting back to Ed.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Have you
Because-
seen it?
I've not seen it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
We're gonna vote to approve it. I mean, it's no
Subject
offense,
to-
Scott, but we're gonna vote to approve it. We haven't seen it.
Yeah, it's
Subject
not-
to Scott and me.
It's not, because there's stuff here that's different than what you're verbally saying. Stuff that you drop off.
And this could take a while to wrangle out with
We-
Coke.
Say black
We,
and white.
we can always have a special meeting
Yeah,
before
we
city
can.
council
Council
meeting.
meeting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it'll be 2 weeks out.
Yeah. Just
All right,
let
we'll
us
try to
know
get
if we
together
need to
this
do
week
that.
then and talk about it. Okay, thank you. Couple last things. The summer program started last week at the Nahan Fieldhouse. They've got over 40 children enjoying activities inside the Fieldhouse and taking field trips to the pool, to the zoo, and to Holiday World. So that started last week and will extend through the middle of July. Tomorrow we have bingo in the park. The Ken Ellis started this last year, where once a month they take their bingo out of the Ken Ellis building and take it to one of our parks, and tomorrow it'll be at Richard Vissing Park, and that's usually about 11:30. So if someone wants to come up and do some calling of numbers, they're welcome to do that.
I want to
And speaking of Vissing Park, the signage package is complete up there. I don't know if you've been by there to see the new signs at Vissing Park, but they look great. Very pleased with the way they turned out. And then The Little League District Play starts this weekend at Jeff GRC. We're hosting this year, so we've been busy a little last week and most this week getting the park ready for the teams. Over 50 teams from the 6 different leagues in our area will be playing at Little League for the next 2 weeks, starting Saturday. That's all I have.
Paul, I got a couple questions. We were talking about the screening at the soccer field.
The netting?
And I had gotten a call, I think that was 2 or 3 weeks ago, from a neighbor who said he was going to sue us over that.
We received something in the mail, yeah.
Did you?
I think Scott probably got a copy of it too, didn't you, or did you?
Oh, was that the one that?
Tort claim of some type?
It wasn't a tort claim, it was just a letter.
Okay.
Steve Melver wrote it.
So it was a lawsuit or it wasn't a
No,
lawsuit?
it was a letter from an attorney, I think it was from Steve Melver.
Yeah.
He sent it to Les, but I was copied, I mean, he copied multiple people.
Right.
Yeah.
They wanted to see progress on the netting, basically. And they also had a problem with the lighting staying on too late at night, which I called the guy and addressed that situation. But the main issue is they haven't seen any progress on the netting. And, you know, like we talked about, we are moving on it now. We're getting quotes on it. Hopefully by next meeting we'll be able to award a contract.
Okay. The other thing, I got a call, and I don't know who bush hogs the riverfront. Do we do that?
The riverfront, you mean down,
Where they're doing the construction?
oh, in the marina area? I don't know that anybody's doing that right now.
Well, they said that a blade came off of one of our mowers
Really?
and hit a truck down there. We got anything on that?
I don't know if the contractors have hired somebody to do some grass cutting because it is their property now. We can't, the city of Jeff can't get in there to do much of anything. So maybe they've hired somebody to cut it, but I know the city hasn't sent anybody down. It's Matt Construction. Mhm.
Somebody's cut, you talking about from between Jeff Boat and downriver, the overlook area?
They just said they were down there bush hogging. I'm not sure where it was.
Somebody's cutting the top of the hill by the sidewalk, but on the other side of the orange fence, I mean, it hadn't, you know, because of construction, it hadn't been touched.
I don't think it's been touched, you're right.
Are we doing that at the top of the fence?
We're not. Walnut Ridge does that.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, we don't bush hog down there.
Any other
You
questions?
know, you're not bush hogging, but Walnut Ridge does the grass cutting.
Paul, at one of the last meetings, you had said that you turned the Allison Brook Park bill into redevelopment for the work that the parks did.
I didn't. I think it was turned into them, but it wasn't turned in by me.
Okay.
They got a copy of the bill, the
Can we
redevelopment
get a
bill.
copy? Can we, the Parks Board, get a copy
Sure.
of what was turned in? Yeah, I'd like to get that. That'd be great. That's all I have.
Just to give a little background on that, I did receive a copy of that, and I asked our city council representative to bring it up to redevelopment, who was
good.
Marty Chalfant.
Oh, good.
I imagine it was Marty who took it?
Yes. Mhm.
Because prior to that, the mayor said asked Paul not to take it to redevelopment.
Right.
To use our representative to take it to.
Okay.
But I'll get you a copy of it.
And that hasn't happened yet?
I haven't heard if, did Marty take it there? Have you heard?
I think he had, but I wasn't at the last
We've had a meeting
redevelopment.
since, and I wasn't there. I haven't talked to Marty since that meeting.
Okay.
I'll also,
Marty does have that information, so I hope he did.
and I'll ask Kelly tomorrow if that was brought up at the last meeting.
Perfect.
And there was also some discussion about the legal status for him to do that, and Scott, our attorney, has been involved in that as well, so.
To do what?
To explain and justify why there should be reimbursement to the Parks Authority for parks resources being used for redevelopment, property and redevelopment
Yeah,
projects.
it did, we had a telephone conversation, just asked, was that legitimate? I said, yes, the sewer board has done it on at least 2 different occasions when the sewer board's construction crew has done work for redevelopment.
And then they get reimbursed.
Pursuant to the Indiana State Board of Accounts, when you have certain units that have their own little budget and tax rates to do work for another unit, reimbursement. So redevelopment has reimbursed sewer board in the last several years, at least on 2 occasions. So as you said, for that, is that legitimate? I said, yes. It's actually required by the Indiana State Board of Accounts.
Any other questions?
I'll go ahead and stay up here while we do the roundtable, in case you have any questions.
Okay, well, first was Parks Authority attorney's report. If you have anything
Well, I was
else.
just going to get into the contract. I mean, it's not a bad idea, but we just need to, there's some issues there I need to be involved in to make sure we know what we're doing.
We'll definitely do that.
Is there any public comments? Anybody?
No one signed up tonight.
Okay, and then Park Authority members? Mr. Smith?
Paul, we've had some trouble up at the Aquatic Center, some issues. Are you familiar with that, and have they been addressed, or how can they be addressed?
Yeah, we've had a couple of complaints about trash cans not being emptied and some of the chairs having some straps broken.
The slide or some of the water feature things?
Right. In the kids, I think they call it the zero depth area, there's a kids play feature there that a part broke on it, and we've ordered the part, but until that part comes in, we had to shut it down. And we put some caution tape. I know it doesn't look real pretty, but we put caution tape up there. Well, I was just up this morning, and the part should be in this week sometime. As soon as it's in, they're going to come replace it. So yeah, there were some issues with that. Trying to think what else.
Are we having trouble, in the past, we've always had trouble with the bigger kids, kind of bullying or pushing the little kids or creating fights or issues? Is that
I have not heard that. Yeah, I haven't heard any complaints about that. We do have cameras up there, and I just talked with security pros about, maybe taking the camera that is the virtual guard and moving it somewhere else, because we had a hole in the fence cut, and some people were coming through the fence there at night, and it wasn't alarming. It wasn't going to the virtual guard. So some adjustment of the virtual guard or moving it from one camera to the other. We're working on the details there. But we had over the weekend, it was last weekend now, some kids broke some glass out front. There's like 6 or 9 panels out there of glass, and I think 6 or 7 of them were busted, and they busted one of the lights in the parking lot there. So we've got video on it. It doesn't have a clear picture of their face because it's late at night and the lighting's not bad, not real good right there where they did it. But anyway, we haven't had any more vandalism issues than years past. I've addressed or tried to address with my management team some of the housekeeping issues that we've had.
As far as you know, they are on that?
Yes.
Who is, so the lady that runs that, are you in communication with her to maybe pinch her a little bit to make sure that it's getting done?
Yes, that's Nikki Dillon. I talked to her last Monday and talked to her again this morning about some of the issues up there. We had someone wanting a refund because they got a job, and before they didn't have a job, and now they had a job, so they couldn't go to the pool. I mean, anyway, it doesn't pertain to what we're talking about here, but you can just get an idea of some of the calls that I get sometimes from people. But anyway, we talked about some other issues, and some of them were the cleaning of the restrooms. That was the other thing. And let me address that one on the restrooms. The complaint was made that the restrooms were in bad shape, and on a busy day like Sunday, the day they got the complaints on, we would either have to go in and shut down the restrooms for 10 or 15 minutes to have people come in and clean them, or just try to spot check it, which is what we were doing. And if you know anything about pools and restrooms, toilet paper when it gets wet gets messy, and it gets in everything, and so it's a huge deal to clean it up. So I've asked them to check it more often, and hopefully we can get away from some of those complaints. But when we have a busy day, it's hard to get into those restrooms and clean them every hour.
Hey, Paul, on your restrooms that you were talking about, the mobile restrooms,
Yeah, toilet trailers.
do you think next year in the budget process that, we've got so many events going all the time,
Yeah.
that we should look at ordering another one of those? I'm just asking.
I was going to come to you guys later, and maybe this is a redevelopment question, but anyway, restroom trailer down at Duffy's Landing. We originally talked about putting maybe a restroom building down there, but we thought maybe the better idea is a restroom trailer. That way, when the water comes up, you hook it up and take it back to your barn. But there are no restrooms other than just a porta potty, and Duffy's gets used often. But anyway, it was something I was going to come to either you or redevelopment and see if they wanted to.
For the roof.
Yeah, that'd be hard to, if we put anything down there permanently, you better make it out of barred steel.
Well, I was just seeing,
They'll just burn it
it
down.
looks like we have a lot of events that coincide with each other.
No, it's something, but it's below we'd have to have the pump station probably.
Yeah.
But, Probably wouldn't, I mean, obviously we need something, but it would have to be fire.
Well, I'm not even talking down there so much.
Right,
I'm
but-
talking about other events.
To answer I mean, to make a point on your question, there's been some weekends where on a Friday, we've gone down and put a restroom trailer at the river stage, then Saturday morning, come and moved it, and then Saturday afternoon, come and moved it somewhere else. So it doesn't happen very often, but to your point, they are in high demand.
Them were 35,000.
Were they that much?
That was, what, 8 years ago?
Every,
So
we bought one.
imagine what that is now.
Porta pots. Oh, you know?
But I'm saying, maybe we can, at some point, I think we need to maybe look at maybe getting another one. And we'll look at that one and see what we like or dislike, and then when we go to purchase another one, maybe we need to, I think, the reason I asked was I don't think they have heat, so if we do have some cool weather, we can't use them.
Right.
I don't know, but I think we need probably, because I know Mike Reynolds, I see him hauling it, maybe
Mhm.
get some likes and dislikes on it, so if we do purchase another one, we can include some changes on it.
Sure.
They were around 35,000, so,
Yeah.
that price may have went up or down, I'm not
Mr. Smith, anything else?
sure. No, sir.
Ms. Sellers?
Yeah. Out at Missing Park, have y'all got the mulch to go under the swing shed, or when are you gonna be getting that? Is that mulch?
They've been working, well, they worked most of last week up at Vissing, and they're
I saw
working
that.
this
I
week.
appreciate that.
But no problem, we're getting to it eventually. It's just that time of the season. But to answer your question, it's a different type of mulch. It's a playground type mulch, so we order that from a different company. So I'll call and check to see if that's come in yet. It was supposed to be in earlier this week.
Okay, so it was ordered and you guys are just waiting on it?
Yep.
Okay, that's all I needed.
Is that it? Mr. Julius? Mr. Owen?
I'm good.
I have a couple of things. I talked to Lincoln Crum. I want to let everybody know that he's getting a lot of footage. Had a drone up and flying for smoking on the river. He's met with, have you? I know he's had meetings with Sarah, he says he has. And then you've had and talked about content and different events. And there's one little, I guess, setback regarding the possibility of us having a park app. Apparently, the cost is not $6,000 and then a $500 every year afterwards to maintain it. It's $6,000 every year. So he's looking at for different vendors, and so we may or may not have a app, or it might be a different vendor that puts that app together. I wanted to mention, you mentioned, was it what's the
Parkour,
parkour? Is that like American Ninja Warrior stuff?
similar to it. Yeah, it's
Tell you,
just
I went-
kids climbing and jumping and
That is the
mischief.
new parks fad and gym fad everywhere. I was in Utah, and they have these huge boxes. Most of them are inside, but where the weather's nice, and you have all the hanging stuff where, if you ever watch American Ninja Warriors, netting and
Yeah.
ropes and swinging, and yeah, but that's just a big fad. So I wouldn't be surprised if we have more of our parks fences and whatever kind of
I've been getting,
equipment we have out there used in ways that hasn't been used before.
You're right, but I've been getting playground magazines who are featuring a lot of that parkour product. So it's not a fad, it's coming.
Yeah, so it's something we might need to look at to install something somewhere. If that, rather direct that energy towards something, that's designed properly for that
Yes.
use. Yep. If you all haven't heard, there were some issues at Worley Park on Friday. They required some police and EMT, and I've talked to Paul about that. It was from a football team from out of town that rents our facility from time to time. We're gonna have a little talk with them, and they may not be coming back to us.
Who's that?
They're called the Indiana Bucks. They call themselves a semi-professional football league. No, that's the soccer. That's
Semi-pro
Nathan.
football.
And they not,
Multiple calls, not respecting authority when our police were there, they had to call back up. I mean, there was never a physical confrontation,
started
but
with the alcohol.
no, this had nothing to do with alcohol at all, no. There was no alcohol. This was not the soccer group, this is a football group. It's the adult football, semi-pro football. It's kids who played, it's guys who played college, some of them played college ball, and guys who want to relive their high school football years. So anyway, just want to let you know if you hear anything about it.
Ricky and I briefly talked about it, but we'll talk more about it this week and decide how we want to move forward on it.
And then I have two questions. First one, Allison Brook Park. I drive by there all the time. I don't live near there, but I never see anybody there. Is it being used, and are the gardens being used? Because I mean, I'm just curious if that's been a good investment, especially the gardens.
Sure. From what I understand, and Judith runs the garden up there, all the beds are rented out or being used. There's not one empty up there this year. And last year, we left a couple of them open just for a Kids to Park program that we did. But this year, I think all 40 of them, 36 or 40, have been rented out. Now, the playground area, I don't see a lot of people up there. There's not a lot of playground features up there. There's only a swing set and a slide. So we intended on, when the parks takes this over, adding some more features up there. But anyway, I do see people up there every once in a while, and I do get emails from people who walk the park, and, you know, the neighbors are very protective, like all neighbors. If there's something wrong, they'll email me and say, hey, you know, there's a broken swing or a broken slide or whatever. But I do have a few of them that contact me regularly.
Just curious, I've never seen anybody when I drive by there, but it's usually in the heat of the day. The question about green team and grass cutting. You know, when we added the green team, we added additional one full-time person and an additional part-time person. Is that not correct?
2 full-time. One was the manager and one was the general laborer.
So we have more people cutting grass than before, but we're having as much difficulty keeping up with it as previous years. What's your assessment of what's going on? What do we need to do differently, or it just seems like we put a little more resources to grass cutting and we're still falling behind, or at least not getting forward?
Right, exactly. Well, and the way this thing was originally laid out, like we talked about in a city council meeting a month or so ago, was we'd devote 10 employees to it and a couple seasonal people to this division. And then there was some talk about defunding. And some questions about whether it was going to last and whether, you know, we should even, you know, move forward with it. So we moved forward with it the best we could. But part of that was the issue or the situation with the street department giving 2 employees to this didn't work out. They gave us 1 employee, and that employee, when he was with us about 10 days, he only actually worked about 6 days because they had days after holidays where they had to have him on trash. And that was part of it with Clark. He said, you know, I'll give you 2 employees, but I may have days where I need them. And we said, all right, we'll work it out. Well, in 2 weeks, we had him 6 days out of 10 days. So, and he never gave me the second employee. So I went back to Clark and I said, look, it's just not working out. You take your employee back and you continue doing what you did last year. The green team wouldn't take on the street department, which are some of the medians down 10th Street past McDonald's and Myers up that way, all those medians. A lot of the properties that they were doing that we were going to do, they're doing again. And then there was a question about the drainage employee. I had a problem hiring somebody when it's possible the thing could be defunded and then I have to go fire that person. So I never hired that drainage person. As it turned out, drainage department or drainage committee or whatever you want to call them has decided to fund this position and hire somebody to do the bioswales downtown. So there were 3 employees that are not on this team anymore. Then the issues that I alluded to last time at the council meeting with my parks employees are that I had 1 employee that went into the military, and I can't replace him. I mean, I could, but as soon as he comes back, I got to fire the person because I can only get so many employees. So there was an employee I'm down. Then I had another employee that went out on a medical, and he's been out for 6 weeks now, I think, maybe longer. And prior to that, he was out a few other weeks. So we have that. And then we have that's that time of the year when the aquatic center is opening and the river stage is opening. And, you know, Sarah calls and says, hey, I need 4 guys down at the river stage to put up barricades, to put up electric meters, to do water, to do snow fencing. So we have been constantly having to move people from here to there just to put out fires. And then we get complaints about Vissing Park and the landscape up there, which I agree, it looked horrible, and we're doing a better job at it. Then we get complaints about 10th Street median, so we're moving them from here to there. So to answer your question, what is the answer? I don't know. I don't know if it's Sandy's solution, just hire more people. I don't know if that's the answer or not.
What I understand too, the fire department now contracted, they do their own grass.
Well, I had a talk with one of the fire department employees, and he said he's got firemen that are sitting around doing nothing. We'll put them to work. That was the understanding. The firemen were going to be cutting the grass. So.
No, that didn't happen.
Yeah.
Who
We
contracted
talked
out?
about getting a contract, I thought we talked about this
They
at the
don't have
last
the authority
meeting,
to
is
do that.
contracting out to do the medians.
They got
That's true.
I've put the quote out, I put it out to 4 people, I've gotten 2 that have responded, so I'm hoping to get another quote or 2 back this week, and then come back to the Parks Authority and give you my quotes and see if you're willing to put up the money or find where we're going to find the money for them.
So this is kind of my point is we're going to contract 10th Street, which I realize we got a late start on that, okay? Contracting out the bioswales. We're not cutting redevelopment, we're not supposed to be cutting redevelopment's properties. I don't know if we are or not, but we're not supposed to be.
Well, when I'm told by the mayor to do it, I do it.
Then the redevelopment needs to be billed for that.
Well,
So those are things that you need to.
That's the lawyer's job, that's not my job. I've gone to the lawyers and said, I'm tired of listening to the council tell me I gotta bill redevelopment, or I gotta bill the sewer department. And when I do that, and the mayor says, no, you're not gonna do it, what's my next step?
We need,
Well, wait.
Yeah.
Can we at least keep the hours?
that's what I'm saying.
And you don't have to, I don't want to put you in that position.
Yeah.
If you can just give them to me or give them to
Yeah.
us, we'll go to redevelopment and ask them to reimburse us. You don't need to get in that fight.
I can do
But
that.
can you
And that's
please at
what I
least
meant.
keep the hours so we know what kind
Yes.
of resources we are using on redevelopment?
Sure.
Because he's right, we will be written up by the State Board of Accounts, because the parks is a different taxing unit than redevelopment, and we should not be cutting their properties.
I agree, but
And
it's
I-
more than just that.
I want to make sure he understands.
I mean, what about when we asked Jeff Johnson to come do some work for the Parks Department? Or what if we asked the Street Department to come do some work for the Parks Department? I mean, it's more than just parks doing things for other people. The other people, departments do things for us. So that's,
But it's still, in the State Board of
Yeah.
Accounts, well, that's their rule, it's not our rule. I mean, so we have to answer the State Board of Accounts. No one's questioning what you're
Sure.
saying. But the problem is, that then, whether it's the City Council or Parks Authority, they're the ones that get written up in an audit, and they take the blame for it.
It's just like you have your own company and I have my own company. And sometimes I have different equipment and different skilled employees than you have equipment and skilled employees.
Mhm.
And sometimes you help me out on a job site and sometimes I help you out on a job site. But I still keep track of those hours. Now maybe what I do is I pay you the difference. Maybe don't pay you the whole amount. Do you know what I mean?
I understand
those
completely
you
what
should
you're
be
saying.
Keeping track of those different
Yep.
departments.
And I'm not arguing that you're wrong. I'm arguing that I'm in a position where I have to do what I'm
We don't want
told.
to put you in that.
Yeah,
And we
if you
sympathize.
can just try to keep the hours and resources that we are using for the different departments for redevelopment. I mean,
Sure.
and then we'll take on that fight as far as
We're
proper
in
State
kind
Board
of-
of Accounts.
Paul, we're in that position too, because we have constituents that come to us.
Sure.
You know, and I can take you right now to the bioswales on West Market or Walnut Street, and now for a 2 or 3 hour or a half a day maintenance job, we're into a 2-day job. And so, I mean, I don't want you to think we're not, I'm not, and I know these guys, we're not really wanting to raise hell with you, but the fact is, we're all in this pinch.
Yeah.
Sure.
We've hired people, we've hired equipment, you know, we've done a lot, and we've taken on more. We all understand that. But here, we're getting ready to, within so many years, we're getting ready to develop 10th Street with more bioswales.
Right.
So, you know, not pointing the finger, we need to figure something out here, okay? And we understand your position, but I think clearly we want documentation of man hours and documentation of equipment
Okay.
for us. Because you know yourself, if your guys go out and damage a piece of equipment or roll over a tractor or something, a zero-turn tractor, that money's coming out of your budget. I don't care who you're working for. You can be working for redevelopment, for the fire department, for whoever. You're going to have to repair or replace that tractor, correct?
Sure.
Okay. So we're trying to keep the money in the proper pockets.
Right.
And we understand your battle, and I do. And we have to have documentation of man hours and equipment, which is important because the equipment is big ticket stuff. Some of that stuff's $30,000.
Most definitely.
Okay, we understand that, and we definitely don't want to put you in a pinch. However, you know, we've got to answer to people too. So I think, as Ed said, and I agree, if you can give us good numbers, and you don't have to, you know, I don't care who you tell or don't tell. As far as I'm concerned, the board needs to know course, whatever, but I'm saying that that's kind of between us, and if we have to fight, we will fight.
Okay.
I'm not gonna get written up by State Board of Accounts because somebody's telling somebody not to do something.
Sure.
Because it's illegal or
Hey,
unethical.
Paul, to answer your other question on the electrician, I'm sorry,
No,
Go ahead,
he's-
go ahead.
on the electrician,
Mhm.
it's not our responsibility to keep their hours. If they're gonna bill, then Andy needs to keep track of those.
Right.
So,
No, I agree.
you know, what we're trying to keep track of is parks.
Okay.
So going back to my original question, it sounds like we don't have a one-stop shopping for grass cutting.
We don't.
We don't, because we have bioswales and we have the street department going back and doing what they're doing. So it's not like we originally planned. But it also sounds like we're just overwhelmed by the needs as we have in previous years. And I know I've talked to a number of members before, we're not into hiring more people, I don't think. If anything, maybe we'll have to look to contracting some of this out.
Sure.
At least during the rush hour, the first couple months of spring, maybe the first month or two of summer, when the big, River Stage turns on, the Aquatic Center turns on, all the grass. is
Right,
growing.
that's the big need, the first part of the summer, spring, summer. I mean, that's,
4 months where.
once we get into August, I mean, we're caught up and we're maintaining.
That's what the green stream was
But
supposed
isn't
to
this
do. So now are we
discussion,
gonna
Ed,
change
we
it?
didn't know, I think we all hoped it would be successful, but we really didn't know if it would be successful. And at any point in time, I don't want to use the term defund, maybe
Right.
maybe
Reorganize.
yeah, maybe, but if we didn't know, and none of us knew how well it would work.
Right.
We had our hopes up, and we tried to supply the manpower and the equipment, and I think a lot of department heads worked with each other to try to do some things.
Mm-hmm.
But if it doesn't work, to me, I don't see where it's a bad thing.
It's okay to try a new thing. Sometimes it doesn't work.
And-
Or
and
maybe
we
we could
stated
tweak
that.
it and make it work the next year, or maybe no, it didn't
Yeah.
work and we,
That's my point.
yeah.
Yeah, and that was stated whenever it was first started, is it might not work, and we'll try it for a year. If it doesn't work, then we do something different.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
Well, thank you, Paul, for all you do.
Okay.
yes.
No problem.
That's all I have.
You had a question?
There was one person who added public comment, but he did it after the agenda item, so I'm not going to recognize him. If you want to talk to him after the meeting.
He wrote something down, he had a quick question, when he asked if you would allow me to ask a question for him. Regarding Cal Missing Park, he said all he wanted to know is that supposedly there was supposed to be some bush hogging under the trees at the west side of the pond. I don't know if that's been done at Cal Missing Park.
It's not been done. He knows the answer. He lives right out there near it. I mean, he knows it hasn't been done. I talked to him 2 weeks ago, and said, it is on my list, and I'll get to it as soon as I can. The thing I try to tell him is that when it gets wet out there, you can't get a bush hog in there. You gotta let it dry out before you get that in there. So, and plus, like you know, we've been doing 10th Street meetings and Bissell Park and other things.
I'm just asking the question they wrote down.
No, I'm not answering anybody.
Well, and with all this rain,
I would have been happy to answer this question. He's on my list, and he's moving to the top of the list.
He said he had 1 minute 7, which he wrote down, he had to leave.
Motion to adjourn.
Yeah, thanks.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Thanks.